I'm back. I know it's kind of late, but it's still not August 1st, so we can get into it, right? These are the new releases for the month of August. So I have literary fiction, women's fiction, Black American horror, historical fiction, and a paranormal fantasy. Let's get into it. My name is Raquel. This is where we come to celebrate and explore Black books. Let's get into these 12 Black books. Book number one is called Majestic Hills. It is by Don Turner, comes out on August 4th. It says, tired of daily drama in his emergency room, Dr. Langdon Black is in search of a place where he can leave the world behind. He loves his job and has no delusions about the suburbs being perfect, but he wants peace and quiet. His wife, Josephine, a lawyer, grew up listening to her father's story about the Jim Crow South and sundown towns. She prefers the city. Still, she agrees to move with the caveat that they stay for a year and reassess. The tight knit, predominantly white group of neighbors in Majestic Hills initially welcomes them with open arms. But beneath the veneer, privileged harmony, tensions simmer. When a horrifying crime rocks the community, the illusion of safety is shattered, and Josephine and Langdon find themselves at the heart of a winged storm that pits neighbor against neighbor, exposes deeply ingrained prejudices, and threatens to implode into violence. As their experiment in suburbs living ticks towards the 1 year mark, the blacks are pushed to a breaking point. Can they find a way to make a home in Majestic Hills? Or has the Chicago condo for move put their future, their marriage, and even their safety in jeopardy? That sounds really interesting to me. The next one is called The Book of Chuck, and it is by LaToya Watkins. It comes out on August 18th. I read another book by LaToya Watkins called Perish. It was heavy. And it seems that she likes to write generational books, and this is one as well. So it says, set across Texas and spanning 4 generations, the Book of Chuck is a gimlet eyed investigation into right and belonging through the story of one family in which certain members have clairvoyant powers. Pa, no go, him, burn. When Baby Nanny utters these prophetic words in 1936, she marks herself as cursed. The ability to see death before it happens forever changes the course of her life and the lives of her descendants. 40 years later, Chuck is about to become a father. He intends to make a home filled with love, unlike the one he was born into. But when he begins paying visits to his estranged mother, Nanny, in search of answers, she starts pushing him away from the life he's always wanted. It's the cusp of a new millennium, and Baby is on the precipice of major change. Her mother is packing up their home and moving them to a religious community that believes the world is ending. But when Baby begins to have surprising visions of death, she investigates her lineage, piecing together what she can about her father, Chuck, and her father's deeply shrouded past. These visions, once seen as a curse, become an indelible link to her history, recasting what she thought she understood of love, parentage, and prophecy. I am definitely looking forward to that, even though the book she wrote was really heavy. It was very, very interesting. I do like generational stories in historical fiction, and so I'm looking forward to the Book of Chuck. The next book is called Day by Edgewidge Danticat, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. It comes out on August 25th. It says, is home the place where we are born, or is it the place where we die? These questions haunt Magnolia, a successful Haitian American real estate agent in Miami, after she hears gunfire erupt while shopping for her daughter's first cell phone. Seeking shelter inside a restaurant called Oasis, Magnolia huddles with frightened strangers, each praying to their own gods as chaos unfolds around them. Once safely home, Magnolia hides the truth about being at the mall during the shooting from those closest to her. But surviving the tragedy forces her to confront her life with a startling clarity. She begins to reevaluate the bond she shares with her daughter, Zoe, the strained relationship with her partner, Harrison, and the lingering wounds carried by her parents, whose pain and unraveling history continue to shape their own fears and identity. As Magnolia journeys through memories, grief, and unanswered questions, she must also come to terms with the losses tied to that traumatic day, losses that echo through communities far too often in modern life. Torn between Miami and Haiti, marriage and solitude, the living and the dead, Magnolia searches for where she truly belongs. Uh, Sounds a little bit interesting. And then we have Ghost in the Night by Tiffany D. Jackson, which is part two of Blood in the Water. It comes out on August 4th. I have not read Blood in the Water, but I have recently read Scammers by Tiffany D. Jackson, and I was blown away. It was nothing like what I thought. I enjoyed Scammers, so I might have to get into Blood in the Water. Ghost in the Night is another spine tingling, can't put it down murder mystery, this time set in America's most haunted city, Savannah, Georgia. With its mossy trees and ornate old homes, is a place rich in history and ghosts. Ghosts are what pique Harmony Roundtree interests. Still reeling from her losses back home, Harmony wants to believe in ghost stories, but isn't sure what's real. When she goes on one of the many ghost tours around town, she takes a photo of what might be a ghost. Or is it a hoax? With two new friends, Harmony sets out to investigate and stumbles upon clues leading to an unsolved murder. The deeper she digs, the more Harmony realizes that what she saw on the ghost tour might be connected to a shocking crime. But making connections can be dangerous, even more dangerous than ghosts. This is a YA or a young adult's book or a children's book, not sure. I think that's why I didn't read Blood in the Water. I'm not really into YA, but Scammers is young adults, so it's college students. Uh, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't really sound too interesting to me. Next, we have Ladies Hall by Vanessa Miller. Comes out on August 11th. I am a Vanessa Miller fan. I love her historical fiction. So it says 1880s Ohio, when Mary and Anna entered the Bachelor of Arts program, also known as the Gentleman's Course of Study at Oberlin College. They have little in common other than the color of their skin and their passion for education. While Mary was raised in luxury, attending presidential inaugurations with her wealthy father, Anna's a school teacher, likely the daughter of an enslaved mother, former owner likely the daughter of her enslaved mother, former owner. Oh, wow. Okay. And works a second job to pay for her room and board. But despite their differences, both women share strength, ambition, and a deep yearning for change. If they can bridge the gap between them, they just might build a lasting legacy. From its earliest days in the 1830s, Oberlin College admitted men and women, white and black students, through the doors. Though the doors are officially open, school policy cannot change the hearts of classmates who refuse to see the women, and especially black women, excel. Despite constantly being forced to prove themselves, the women triumphantly overcome every obstacle and push through their pain. As the world evolves around them, Mary and Anna persevere to build a legacy of success and excellence. I cannot wait. The Ladies' Hall is an ideal choice book for book club eager to explore intersections of race, gender, and resilience in American history. There's more to it, but it's just kind of, how they promote the book. So I don't want to read that. We'll get into the next book, which is These Halls Remember by Dale Sandeen. This one comes out on August 18th. I believe this one is Southern Gothic. If I'm not mistaken, this is the Southern Gothic one. So it says, when two strange sisters inherit a home possessed by horrors of its dark past, they must work together to survive in this viscerally chilling Southern Gothic novel from the critically acclaimed author of This Cursed House. Do not go into the attic, the note warned. But that's exactly what the sisters Mackie and Delilah do when they inherit a distant relative's house in Savannah, Georgia. They intend to sell the property, divide the proceeds, and go their separate ways once and for all. But 724 Hartford Street has other plans. As the sisters learn about this house and its history, past wounds begin to fester and spill into their present. Strange visions, memory lapses, unexplained accidents, and surreal echoes of the house's previous inhabitants, some of whom disappeared after living in the home. The sisters suspect the residents of the sleepy Savannah neighborhood know more than they're saying about what really happened there. And then Delilah, once adamant about selling and never looking back, developed an uncanny attachment to the house, her personality changing in alarming ways. Mackie knows that she'll have to pull her sister from the home's clutches, or they'll both succumb to that which hungers in its walls. That sounds good. It sounds scary. And funny thing is, I don't think I've even read anything that's actually scary in Southern Gothic. Not yet. And next we have Blood Rising by Markus Redmond, comes out on August 25th. Now this is part 2 to Blood Slaves by Markus Redmond. I did read Blood Slaves. I don't think I made a video about it. It is about enslaved people, where this being from another time period comes, and he kind of convinces them to turn themselves into vampires in order to get out of slavery. It was definitely interesting, and I don't know. I don't know if I'll read part 2, but the first one was definitely interesting. Um, I don't know. It might have been a little bit much for me because I'm just getting into horror, and this one was a little bit kind of gory for me. Anyway, so it says, Quadzzo Okoro never believed the bloody legend of Ramanga was real. Now he stands as the leader of the new Ramanga tribe, one that sieged the Barrow plantation in a storm of righteous carnage, liberating its formerly enslaved Africans. Reclaiming as the Crimson Plantation, it is now also home to the wrong natives who fearlessly aligned with the Romangans. But Quazzo knows that freedom is not secure. Bartholomew, Bartholomew and Constance Crabtree, the most influential slaveholders in the region since the demise of Big Jim Barrow, are galvanizing the lakeside community to strike back violently. The threat they pose, however, pales in comparison to the insidious menace of Penelope Knudsen. Her white-hot hatred, now fueled by Romangan blood and an ability to survive the sunlight, a powerful Quadzzo doesn't have, threatens to upend Quadzzo's advancement of Romangan might throughout the colonies to free his people. But the gravest threat comes within Rafizi, the blood fathered, his blood fathered the rebellion. But he will not take orders from his own creation. And when Rafizi makes a deadly deal with the Crabtrees, Quazzo is forced into battle Quasel is forced into a battle with his maker that he may not survive, while the everlasting freedom of every enslaved person in the colonies hang in the balance. In Carolina and beyond, a reckoning is coming that will change the colonies forever. Next, we have, I think this one is the fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. It's called The Sunken, the Adored. It's by Donyee Coles. It comes out on August 25th. It says, a chilling Lovecraftian horror story from the author of Midnight Rooms, in which a recently freed slave from America makes a new life for herself in the 1800s Venice, finds the mysterious plague that killed her former master, may have followed her to Italy, and now stalks the canals. Venice, Italy, 1800s. The only survivor on a ship. Mercy disembarks in Italy carrying two precious possessions: the first ever camera that makes daguerreotype plates, and a letter regarding an appointment meant for the dead slaveholder. The letters take her to Umberto, an anatomist. In his basement workshop, she learned he's hired the man who formerly owned her to capture images of dissected corpses. But that man is dead. With no other recourse for her or Umberto, Mercy assumes the position. In return for the sample plate she took, Umberto takes her to the home of the Contessa, a British woman who married into her title. Charmed by Mercy, she invites the young woman to stay for a season to take pictures. Formerly enslaved, Mercy finds this new life of freedom heady as she takes on the mantle of a photographer and a guest in this decadent house of pleasure under the hospitality of an aristocrat. Under the Contessa's roof, she meets a diverse cast of friendly and strange individuals with whom she forms new bonds and friendships. But all is not well in her new life. Something dark and hungry stalks the canal that snakes through the city, biting at her heels. The same death that rode the wave with her now surrounds her in this strange place. What is this malevolence that haunts her? As she tries to understand this macabre force, she must grapple with the greater fear that the horror that endangers her friends is herself. The Sunken, the Adored is dark, eerie, and wholly original, at once unsettling and irresistibly addictive. That sounds really good. I think I'm definitely going to take that one in. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to. It sounds interesting. Next, we have a very special episode. That is the name of the book. It is by a woman named Camille Acker. It comes out on August 18th. This one I do remember, and for me, it sounded really good. So it says Nina Johnson has always taken pride in belonging to the 10th. After all, she's following in the footsteps of her ancestors. Her great great grandmother founded the prestigious DC Society, a space for influential African Americans, just 40 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Nina's been elected to helm the organization, but she's determined to escape the influence of her mother, who has led the organization with a steadfast commitment to tradition, all while keeping Nina under her freshly manicured thumb. Nina's determined to forge her own path and to do things differently. Fewer stuffy, out of touch meetings and boring galas, more young people, and a swankier headquarters. To realize her ambitions, Nina needs funds. So, when a wealthy white benefactor named Sienna Masters offers financial support in exchange for her participation in a mysterious project at a former public housing complex, the Orchard, Nina ignores her initial skepticism and agrees to a partnership. But as Nina and those closest to her piece together Sienna's true motives, they discover far more sinister forces at play. Ones that exploit Nina's community for profit, with stakes that extend far beyond her ambitions for the 10th. But how far is Nina willing to go to shape her future? And what is she willing to sacrifice along the way? It says a whip smart and sly social commentary on the complex interplay of race, class, and family legacy. A very special episode will keep you on the edge of your seat. Okay, next we have Death in Solitude by Lynn Emery, comes out August 5th. It says, in tiny Solitude, Louisiana, the matriarch of an old money dynasty dies. She leaves a letter to her heirs with two bombshells, clues to find a hidden fortune in jewels from the 19th century and a murder confession. As if that wasn't enough, Edith Wainwright told more juicy tidbits from the past to a true crime podcaster. Nola Ray Landry is far more than another attention seeking loud voice, a certified forensic document examiner. She's worked with law enforcement on investigations and has been a court approved expert witness. Her passion for uncovering long buried truth goes deep. Nola Ray's storytelling skills and expertise attract a large audience, setting her apart from the crowd. And thanks to Edith, she has a riveting new series sure to be a viral hit. Yet truth telling often comes at a high price. Tensions rise, more inconvenient facts come to light, and the society crowd is shaken by scandal, and a prominent local is murdered. Nola Ray family thinks she should stop the story, but that's not going to happen. Edith revelations are much deeper than gossip. Nola Ray is convinced following the clues will not only lead to a long hidden treasure, but right a 100-year-old injustice and unmask a killer. Stately oaks dropped with Spanish moss, magnolia blossoms, southern hospitality, and legal legacies wrapped in a sugar-coated southern drawl. I did find that one interesting. So I have two more, and these are Kindle Unlimiteds. I am super excited about this one because I love Shvonne Latrice. This one is called Own It, and it's by Shvonne Latrice. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It comes out August 11th. It says Dalen Conrad is self-made, college-educated, independent, and also the black sheep of his immediate family. Being the only one of her parents' three kids to go her own way, Dalen has been deemed the disappointed rebel of her well-to-do and seemingly perfect relatives. However, when one of them makes an egregious choice, she is left to deal with the horrifying repercussions. But what starts out as a terror-filled twist in her otherwise normal life quickly morphs into a situation she would much rather find herself in than out of. Much to her boyfriend Sean's chagrin, Dalen, though, has always loved a man who goes for what he wants. Rankin Godfrey, the handsome, talented yet troubled former boxer, at one point had it all. But between his PTSD stemming from a nightmare-inducing childhood and his ever-growing need to shield those dear to him, Rakim, has made decisions that led to calamitous results. Betrayed by the people closest to him while being shunned and losing favor, he owns it, willing to make something of himself, though feeling like nothing. When a person close to him proves to need his help in under dire circumstance, Rakim makes a perilous decision, and despite this being for good of his loved one, Rakim cannot deny the underlying selfishness of his actions. Upon realizing this, he throws caution to the wind, not caring that within that wind lies exes, currents, families, and even some long buried secrets. As the drama unfolds in the background of this unorthodox urban love story, witness the romance bloom between a damaged, protective man in need of love and a loving woman in need of security. Alrighty then. And next we have Sade in Color. It's by Barbara Howard. It too is on Kindle Unlimited. comes out on August 4th. And just reading the synopsis, it reminds me of Watercolors by Evelyn Latrice. It says Sade Carter hasn't worn colors in years. Then one day, the newly divorced single mother decides to live each month in a different hue, and a simple experiment in beauty becomes a quiet revelation. Along the way, she finds an old tailor shop, a sharp tongued seamstress with an unfinished dress, and a gentleman who seems and a gentleman who sees her more clearly than anyone has seen in years. But choosing to be visible becomes but choosing to become visible comes with a cost, and Sade must decide whether the woman she's becoming is worth the discomfort of everyone who preferred her dim. A warm, luminous novel about color, courage, and the radical act of refusing to disappear. The world told her to be smaller. She bought a red coat instead. I guess we know in a red coat you are definitely not going to be smaller. So that was the 12 books in the month of August. I do apologize for it being so late. Um, Let me know, did any of these books strike your interest? Do you plan on reading any of them? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, see you soon.